Hi, how you doing, and welcome back to another video on the channel. What we have for you today is our video where we talk about the best managers you could bring in using the assistant manager chip, because not only is it the most powerful chip in FPL, it's also the newest, and a lot of people are still unsure on how best to use it. So I think these videos will hopefully help you out with your thoughts moving forward. If they do, please do subscribe, like the video. Hopefully we can keep all the support going for the rest of the season. It honestly is really appreciated. So let's get into the video. So we're going to have a bit of a quick recap of what actually is the assistant manager chip, and if you know what it is, feel free to skip through this section. It's just for people who maybe need a little bit of a reminder or a bit more guidance on how best to use it. So what it is it's a chip where you can rent a manager to score points for your team. After you've used the manager for those game weeks, you don't need to use a free transfer to take him out. He will just automatically leave your squad. Now, it is active for 3 consecutive game weeks, so when you get the manager in, you can then have that same manager for 3 game weeks in a row, but you can also use a free transfer on him to swap him to another manager during that time frame. You actually can't use any other chip at the same time as this one, so that's kind of the same rules that we've always had for chips, but I think it's important to bear in mind that because it's active for 3 consecutive game weeks, you can't use any other chips for those 3 game weeks. So if you're saving chips towards the end of the season, you have to be a little bit careful that you don't leave yourself with a backlog where you either can't use all your chips or you can't use them to the full effectiveness as you would the rest of the season. So it's in addition to your 11 players, but part of your team quota. So what that means is that you don't have to sell a player to get a manager in. You can keep your usual 11 players starting with 4 on the bench, but you can't have 3 players from the same team and the same manager from that team. So you couldn't have 3 Liverpool players and then Arne Slot as well. You'd have to have 2 Liverpool players and then the Liverpool manager if you wanted him in. So all managers are priced between 0.5 and 1.5 million and as part of your budget. Now, 1.5 million might not seem like a lot, but it is quite a lot when you're trying to find that extra little bit of cash. And you have to be careful that if you do want a more expensive manager, you've left yourself enough budget to the side and you're not having to make forced transfers just to get a manager in, because that could affect the rest of how your team lines up as well as your transfer strategy moving forward. So each manager scores 6 points for a win, 3 for a draw, 2 for a clean sheet, and then 1 for every goal their team scores during those 3 weeks. But on top of that, if the manager is playing a team who are 5 or more places above them in the league, then they'd get 10 extra points for a win and 5 for a draw. So there really is good bonus point potential for massive points hauls when you're using your assistant manager chip. So who are the best managers to get in for Game Week 25? Well, it might not surprise you that Arne Slot is one of them. Now, there is an upside of this because he's manager of the best team in the league, so they're more likely to score those baseline points of winning, drawing, clean sheets, scoring goals. Now, the downside of getting someone like Arne Slot in is that you might already have 3 Liverpool players in your squad. So I don't think it's worth selling a Liverpool player just to get their manager in right now. I also think, he's quite expensive. 1.5 million is a lot of money for a manager, and he won't have that bonus point potential because they're top of the league. So he's never going to play another team that are 5 places above them. There's only the scope to go down. There could be a shock and maybe they go on a bad run of form and they lose those points anyway. So I think the fact that it's easier to get Liverpool players into your squad means that I would probably stay away from Arne Slot. But he does have a double game week in 25, so you might just want to get him in for this double and then sell him again to a different manager in Game Week 26 and beyond. I would just bear in mind that every time you swap your manager, you are using a free transfer. Now, you might also be thinking, I wish I'd just got him in the game week before in Game Week 24 because he would have had 4 games in 2 weeks. And yeah, that is the case, but a lot of people got him in Game Week 24 with the uncertainty that he would even double in Game Week 25, so they were prepared to get him in just for this one double game week. And I think you can do the same. So I think just because you've missed out on points shouldn't affect your decisions moving forward. When it would be the best time to use this chip from this point onwards. And then it doesn't really matter what's happened in the game weeks previously. You've just kind of got to move on from that. Now, the other manager I'm going to talk about is Unai Emery, and it's no real shock here that I've gone for the two managers who have a double in Game Week 25. But the fact that both games in Game Week 25 for Aston Villa are at home is a real bonus, because I think the best way to use this chip is on lower mid-table teams who have games at home against higher opposition, and that's not the case against Ipswich, but then there is a nice chance for some baseline points there. But then they do play Liverpool at home as well. And, there is the scope there for an upset. Aston Villa are a good team, so are Liverpool. But then they also play Chelsea at home as well. Now, Chelsea are currently in 4th position and Aston Villa are in 8th position. So there is the chance that by the time they play each other, Aston Villa are only 1 point ahead of 9th, 2 points ahead of 10th. So there could be that 5-game gap, 5-team gap between them in the league. So there is that bonus point potential as well. And then you could always just sell him for someone else instead of having that Crystal Palace game, which could be a tricky game there. Now, the benefit of having Emery as well is that he's only 0.8 million. So he's easier to fit into your budget, and you're less likely to want 3 Aston Villa players for this double than you are Liverpool players. So it'd save you shoehorning Villa players into your team just for one double game week, just to want to sell them again, because I do think that's a bit of a waste of free transfers. Compare that to Liverpool and Arne Slot. Well, you'd probably be more than happy to have 3 Liverpool players in your squad for most of the season. So I think when you're looking at that, it is good to get someone like Emery over Slot. Not only is he cheap and got bonus point potential, but you have to compare it to the players that you're going to want in your starting 11 in the meantime as well. And I think having 3 Liverpool players in your squad and the Aston Villa manager is more than enough for the double. I think if I had Emery, I wouldn't feel the need to get in any other Aston Villa players. And then in 3 weeks, he's out of my team anyway, and I don't have to worry about transferring them out again and maybe using too many free transfers that disrupt the rest of my transfer plans. So that's just my thoughts for managers. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you've got any questions as well, or if I've not explained anything clearly. Go check out our other videos as well. Currently, we've got a wildcard video that's out. Link should be in the description as well. Please do subscribe if it's helped. The support is awesome, and we are a small channel trying to grow. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. Hopefully, you're having a good game week, and I will see you in the next one.